Okay peeps, so I'm going to do a little review of Still Wakes the Deep. I've had this game for nearly 2 weeks now, and did get a review copy from the developers, the Chinese Room, who are a UK, I believe, Bristol based. Yeah, the full review is going to be on NeoWin. I will put a link to it down in the description below. The main thing I want to talk about in this video is just go over the first sort of 10 to 20 minutes of gameplay itself. Some of the quirks and bugs and things that I've noticed, as well as some Q&A answers that I had with the developer and some of the answers they gave. So I noticed a number of bugs. These are all going to be patched in a future update to the game itself. There's nothing itself that I've noticed which is game breaking. All of them can be fixed in a patch, and I completed the game in about 7.5 hours. In none of that time did I encounter anything that I thought, hang on, this is going to break the immersion of the gameplay itself or anything like that. So everything was fine. There's no major issues. I just raised a few questions with them, just had a few questions regarding Unreal Engine as well. So it is using software Lumen. There are some reflections in there as well, but translucency high quality reflections are disabled. And for shadow maps, they are using VSR, or VSM, sorry, for virtual shadow maps. I will show some of those in the gameplay that once I load the game up in a moment. There are some other things as well. So it is using Unreal Engine 5.3.2, not 5.4. So recent titles like Hellblade 2 are using Unreal Engine 5.4. We're on 5.3.2 here, so it's not a major issue. It's still a good engine. It's highly optimized, as you'll see shortly. Wallpaper Gang, this is the DeLorean mod for Cyberpunk 2077, and this is all in-game path tracing, of course. It just looks awesome. Awesome car as well. I recommend that on Nexus mods. But yeah, let's kick off into the game. Yeah, as I say, 7.5 hours is what it took me. The materials the developers sent to me did state that on typical standard settings, they expect people to take 6 hours to complete the game. Now I did spend a lot of time exploring, looking at all the notes that are dotted around the place, reading signs, speaking to NPCs, and just soaking it all in. This game is full of atmosphere and narrative, and it's worth getting immersed in that. And sound and visuals play a key part as well. So I spent a lot of time looking at the graphics, looking at various little details that you don't get in other games, and just being engrossed by all of that, and it just made the experience a bit better as well. So you did see that the loading screens did take a while there. There are about 2 or 3 other screens before that loading screen. They're just videos. You can't skip them, but you can go into the games directory and delete those video files. That speeds up the loading of the first part of the game when you first launch it by about half. So you do increase loading times. But those other 2 loading screens you saw, the epilepsy warning and the saving dialogue caution as well, can't skip those. So I'm assuming it does some kind of shader pre-comp every time that part of the game loads, because there was no shader compilation step that I saw when I first played the game, and I have updated graphics drivers as well. So it does seem like that is being done at that stage. The other thing is the options themselves. There are quite a lot of options to tweak. You do not get a real-time preview of what they are, but you do get a description of what they are. I'm on a 1490 with a 12700 KF, and I played the first half of the game at 3440 by 1440 using DLAA and frame generation, whilst the latter half of the game was played at DLSS 5120 by 2160, or 5160 by 2160, sorry. So just a little over 4K. Now for that resolution I was using DLSS Quality with frame generation. Both instances around the game well over 100 FPS, and there's no input latency or anything like that that I could notice. I'm on a 1000Hz mouse, and yeah, it seemed perfectly fine. Camera movement and everything was smooth. I've got G-Sync active as well, so G-Sync was doing its thing. No stutters, nothing at all to speak of. Unlike other Unreal Engine 5 games, Hellblade 2 for example, they don't have an option to turn off chromatic aberration. You have to go into the text files, the game engine files, and modify them to do that. Chinese Room have put the option into toggle chromatic ab on and off, which is nice to see. Obviously film grain, motion blur are off anyway. I don't really know anyone that likes them. The rest of the settings default to Epic on a 4090. I'm assuming other cards should be similar as well, but it does seem like a scalable engine. In terms of FOV, there is an FOV slider. It's in the accessibility menu, and by default it sets itself to 90. I prefer 105, so it's just 105 is what I use. Audio wise, this game has amazing audio. It's really cinematic, and I recommend either playing on headphones. If you've got a decent pair of headphones, definitely use those. Alternatively, if you've got good desktop speakers or hi-fi speakers, you are going to benefit greatly from what this game, in terms of atmosphere and cinematic ambience, has to offer. There are some really jump scare moments in this game, and if you've got good headphones or speakers, they'll punch like a cinema theatre does. It's hard to describe without showing you, but I don't want to spoil those moments either, so this review isn't going to show anything that spoils the narrative, the characters, or the experiences you have in the game. I just want to talk about the technical aspects, how I've found the game mechanics, the control mechanisms, and just go over some of the other things that I've observed as I've been playing the game. But yeah, let's just kick off straight into loading the game itself. One thing you will notice is there's no chapter selection screen here. You can either resume game if you've already started, or start a new game. So I actually forgot to ask them about this, but I'm assuming that can be patched in as well later on. A little chapter select screen, because there are some segments that I did want to show you guys, but without starting a new game and playing all the way through, I can't do that. And without playing it through in a longer video, that risks spoiling it. I don't want to do that either. So for time's sake, I'm just going to show the first 20 minutes of the game itself and roll with that. So I'll click on Start New Game, click on OK, and Chinese Room do recommend playing on Standard for reviewers for the best experience. So that's what I'm going to leave it on. Cutscenes can be skipped as well, so just holding C will skip cutscenes.
I still can't believe you, Wayne.
And I'm going to do that throughout this video as well, because I don't want to spoil any of the dialogue that happens, because some of them are quite funny, some of them are quite unique, and some of them relate to the story itself, which I don't want to spoil for anyone. But immediately you'll notice just how smooth everything is. My frame rates at the top there, you can see, are, if I clear that, averages 138 FPS, and it doesn't really drop that much below that at any time. There is some RT denoising going on as well. You can see that up there in the center. It's typical of ray tracing, whether it's software or hardware, doesn't really matter, but without ray reconstruction you do get this artifacting going on. Games like Alan Wake 2 and Cyberpunk have ray reconstruction, so they don't have this sort of artifacting. But it's not distracting, you don't notice it unless you're going quite close to it anyway. Shadows are the big detail feature in this game, a game that's mostly in the dark anyway as you progress beyond the starting point, and the way they become harder and softer as you walk closer and further away from the light source is really good, and the way the shadows are projected as well, it just behaves exactly as you would expect in real life. You can sprint. There is a walk feature as well. I've got it on toggle walk and toggle sprint. But all of the details are just the way they're done. It's just amazing. Even these little nooks and crannies where light is occluded, it's just done so well and convincingly, which is nice to see. To open the doors, it's just you can block doors while you're opening them, so just hold the mouse button and it blocks them at the point where you are, which is kind of interesting. There are various rooms you can explore with little notes and details to read and just get a little bit of more backstory onto your colleagues on the rig itself. So the character you play is called Kaz. It's not immediately obvious why he's on the oil rig, but very soon we meet one of his friends, and as it turns out, he put in a good word for Kaz because Kaz is going through some things in his personal life which we don't know the full extent of yet, but we do get shown later on. And the rig job is basically an outlay for Kaz to just regather his thoughts and make heads and tails of what he wants to do with his life once he gets back home. He's got a missus and so on. There is no map or anything in this game. There are some waypoint markers, so if I press tab, you'll see on the top left it says go down to the canteen, and an orange marker does appear showing you the direction you need to go, but there's no map, there's no sort of waypoint saying go this way, go that way. It's just a marker. And in order to make use of a map of sorts throughout the rig, you've got these whiteboards with map marker points showing where you are, where you might want to go, and so on. So that's pretty cool. I like that. These are dotted around all over the rig. Again, there's some doors that you can't go through, which is locked away. Probably saw there on the left on the wall as I walked through, the shadows do spaz out slightly. I think that's just because it's approximating where it... Yeah, so that's some denoiser artifacting there from the software Lumen. If I close the door... Yeah, so it's a bit imperfect there. It's just not going to gripe, it's not too distracting. Doors do have that Fresnel effect on the glass as well, which is kind of cool. Nothing new, obviously, this has been around for decades. But things like wood grain effect on the doors themselves, shiny surfaces. Yeah, so you can turn lights on and off as well, which is kind of neat. Yeah, so that's a bit weird as well. So these are the kind of buggy things that I've mentioned to the devs. Software Lumen means software reflections as well, screen space reflections, because they're not turning on translucency reflections at high quality. So you do get the typical screen space weirdness going on as you move the camera up and down, but 90% of the time you don't notice that. This is probably the biggest puddle so far in the game, and once you get outside it's all wet anyway, without having huge puddles to distract. But as you can see, the whole presentation, the color grading, the textures, the look and feel, I mean, if I just screenshotted that, you'd think it was a photo. It's Unreal Engine 5 is just so good for stuff like that. And all of these rooms you can explore, just take in some of the details. And still, we are well over 120 FPS.
Alright, Kaz. Alright.
It's one of our colleagues. I'm going to skip this dialogue.
If it's not one thing, it's the other.
Sounds like a plan. See ya.
And you can see here, metal looks like metal. The way the texturing and shading is done, and the way the light in Lumen especially plays on all surfaces, everything looks authentic. Even that tissue paper looks like tissue paper. Lights you can obviously turn on and off as well. And because there's no high quality translucency reflections, there are no reflections in the mirrors. It's just this sort of effect. Would have been nice to have that. Maybe they can be turned on via the engine text files. I'll have to explore that. I haven't checked that out yet, but you may be able to turn them back on. We've got high enough frame rates that it doesn't really matter if it does cost in terms of performance. But again, metal, the sink taps and the sink itself, porcelain looks like porcelain, soap looks like soap, the taps look like metal taps. Everything just looks really well. You can enjoy a shower in the dark. So we're going to make our way to the canteen now.
Well,
Yeah, you do get some characters in this as well. There's always bound to be one, isn't there? Again, you can examine notes and letters and things like that.
Bastards.
Doesn't look like we can go this way. Yeah, so we need to go back round. And this way just takes us back to where the ladder was. So here we get our first glimpse of the exterior of the rig. It's obviously a storm going on at the moment, but can't see much, but to give you an idea of the effects going on, rain does dribble down from surfaces. Rain looks like a proper rain as well. We'll see that once we get outside shortly. And again, reflections. Now I know that's a square, not a circle, but it's good enough. Can we turn this on? Yeah. But just look at the way it looks, the metal grating, the texturing itself, the way the light plays on it, everything just looks really cool. And as you progress into the game as well, this gets even better, different light effects and particle effects and things going on. Performance wise, we're still well over 100 FPS average. Let's not waste any more time, let's go to the canteen. So here is where you first get introduced to the bulk of your colleagues. You can sit down and talk to them, they give you a bit of backstory, but I'm not going to do that. So this is our friend, Kaz's friend Roy. He's the one that put the word in to getting the gig. So I'll skip the dialogue and we'll head on outside. Again, these little maps to help you find your way around. It's kind of cool. And you've got one with the overview of the decks on the rig itself. And we can take a look into the kitchen as well to see what Roy's been up to. Look at these pots and pans. Metal looks like metal. Oh yeah, this is funny. So when you run, if you don't look at your legs, it seems normal. You just power walk, power jogging. Whereas if you look at your legs, it's like you're going up some kind of gym stair lift thing. It just looks strange. Throughout the game as well, only when you're going inside to out and outside to in will you see a loading screen. So whenever you get the exit to the deck or exit to wherever you're going inside, that is a loading screen. And loading is really quick. Within 5 seconds or so, it's done. They do recommend an SSD for this as well, so that will be why. And safety is a big thing on the rig up to a point. You'll see everything that you climb or maneuver, like these little door opening hatches, they're all painted yellow. And we'll see that on a ladder shortly as well.
See what the score is.
So like I was saying earlier, you can see rain dripping down from surfaces. And the rainfall itself, it doesn't look like white streaks just falling in front of you like on other games. It looks like actual rain. And we've got God rays playing a part here as well, which is really nice to see. So it's quite a big rig. It doesn't look like it from the outset, but it is a fairly big rig. We'll leave him alone because we need to go this way. Do what funky walk. Right, so here's the ladder. Now I'm holding the right button to go up and down with W and S. Now if I let go of the right mouse button, we slide down. It's kind of cool. Not seen it done like that in other games before. And we can do the same again here. It's kind of neat, kind of fun. Do get a torch later on as well. So we need to go up to the boss man to see what he wants. So just after that segment, there is another cinematic that plays out on the helipad, and I will end the video there because I don't want to spoil too much. Actually no, I'll continue on from there. I'll do a bit after that, and then I'll stop the video just so you can get a bit more feel for the inner parts of the main intro. So at some point an incident happens with the drill and something comes on board, and the rest of the game is basically trying to figure out how to get off the rig because everything's going to pop, and things are going on with your colleagues as well that you need to either evade or deal with without spoiling it. Again, everything that has a safety concern is yellow.
Jesus, Scooby! Give me a heart attack.
So we need to activate this. So just like the ladders, instead of right clicking now, it's left click to interact and S to deactivate. And now we can use the left. The colour grading in this is really done well. It's cinematic. Now, as I'm on QD OLED or OLED, there are some areas that do have slightly lifted blacks, so it looks like the blacks are being crushed for some reason. I did mention this to the developers, and they did say this is one of the bugs that will be patched in an update as well. Again, when that update lands, I don't know, they didn't say. Whereas other areas are pitch black, and they look amazing on OLED.
Well, here they fucking go.
So I'm going to skip his dialogue. And we will make ourselves on the way to the helicopter. So it's the lower decks that I want to show, where you can jump, and there's some cool elements of that as well. So we'll let this cinematic pass, and I'll go straight into the lower decks area. You do get flashbacks as well, so a lot of the flashbacks do give you a bit of backstory on why Kaz is on board. I won't show this, just to avoid spoilers.
Guys! Christ! He's gone!
And now we've awoken. It's a cool thing. Throughout the game you will be traversing through cold water, and you do need to use these heaters to warm yourself up. So yeah, even game characters do need to get warmed up. And once we're ready, we can exit and check out what's been going on.
Guys! I need your help here!
Okay, so let's help them out. Oh, the other thing I noticed as well was these animations of props, like ropes and things like that, they seem to be at 30 FPS. This one's not a good example, there are other ones. Yeah, so look at this rope, or tether. The way it's moving, it feels like it's at 30 FPS, just the animation, even though everything else is buttery smooth. Yeah, so I think that might be due to budget costs or perhaps even the consoles.
I'm sorry, Kaz. I know you're not all right yet, but I need your help. McCleary! Thank Christ! You all right being up on your feet?
So what we need to do then is...
No, Kaz! You have to release the brake first. It's on the floor below you.
Need to get down. Let's do our power walk. And release those brakes.
That's it! Come back and winch
Yeah,
up
check
the
those
bell
out.
now.
So those tethers there, 30 FPS.
What's going on, Brody? What happened? Don't know. The drill hit something. An air pocket or gas explosion.
Okay, so now we can continue. And I need to get down there, so I think... Yeah. So we're now under the rig, and we need to do some jumping bits here as well, so... Yep. So that's the drill bit that's broken, and something is making its way on board the rig. Do you want to go a bit closer? Let's do it. So yeah, the closer you get to the anomaly, the more your vision does that thing. But we need to go over there. Good old Phillips head.
Jesus.
There are some quick time events as well, like here, where you have to hold to grip. By default, the quick time event duration is 3 seconds, but you can increase that in the accessibility screen as well. Once again, if it's yellow, it's a safety thing. Shadows are done well, at least.
Shite!
The Scottish accents in this are really cool. They're all genuine Scottish actors, from what I remember seeing.
Shit!
So yeah, some segments like that you do need to hold both right and left mouse buttons to regain yourself.
Oh, fucking hell. Just get across.
So this is an SDR, of course. Whether you're playing HDR or SDR doesn't really matter too much. Both look amazing. HDR obviously looks better, but for the purposes of this video and for editing ease, it's just going to stick to SDR for it. now we're in the first dark area of the game, and you can see now that black crush is gone, so dark areas are properly dark, and it just looks amazing. Look at it. I'm not going to do all of this because this does take a bit of time, but I just want to show what it's like. I'll slide down. And shimmy across. So we don't have a torch yet, we do pick one up a bit later. And once again, everything that you can climb is yellow. Same as in most games these days.
Finally, something useful.
So here's our torch. And the cool thing is, because the torch is on our head, you can see as soon as I turn the torch on, you can see the glow just at the top of the screen. So it is quite convincing, which is kind of cool. So pitch black. And you do get bounce, diffuse illumination as well from the torch, which is quite cool. But I'll end it here. I don't want to spoil too much of it because there are some jumpy moments as well that I don't want to give away. But yeah, thanks for sticking by this, and if there's anything that you want me to answer, feel free to ask in the comment section below. I will link to the full review in the description below as well. And if you want to see more reviews like this, with ultra wide especially, and going into some of the more technical aspects of games as a gamer rather than as a journalist, reviewer or anything like that, then do let me know and I'll see what I can do. But yeah, thanks for watching.